إن الأضاحي من شعائر ديننا.
نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد. I have explained already about the sheep and the ayats relating to the sheep and the cattle, ayat relating to the cattle. I just want to explain one more species of animal that's permissible for Qurbani, and that is the camel. Allah Ta'ala tells us in Holy Quran, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. We all read in أَعْطَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرِ. The second ayat, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Then read namaz to your Rabb, or read salah to your Rabb, وَانْحَرْ, and pierce the throat of the animal. They're not mentioning here, أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً, slaughter the cow like they did that, or slaughter the sheep. Here Allah Ta'ala is telling us, وَانْحَرْ, make nahar, pierce the throat of the animal. Now the reason why the two different ayats, the أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً for cattle, slaughter the cattle, here is Allah Ta'ala is telling us, وَانْحَرْ, pierce the throat of the camel. Because Allah Ta'ala in His wisdom knows that how He created the different animals. As far as the camels are concerned, the blood vessels are closer to the food pipe and windpipe, which is here in the middle, of course. The blood vessels are closer here, so that is why it does not necessitate slaughter, but nahar, to pierce the throat of the camel. So we pierce the throat of the camel, and we still sever the four vessels like we do in cattle. So cattle and sheep and all, we slaughter and tazbahu baqara. In the case of camels, we pierce the throat of the camel, and this is how we sever the vessels of the camel. Now we'd like to explain about the slaughter area. You can notice in this place here, alhamdulillah, the place is very clean. The place has knives, proper knives. It has a water to use to remove the blood, even to clean the knife, alhamdulillah. But when we are doing in a yard or wherever, make sure that our holes are made separately. Don't make them close to each other for the slaughter to take place. And also another thing is that, sorry about that, when we prepare this area, it is mustahab to face the Qibla. It is not compulsory to face the Qibla. It is mustahab, it is desirable. Because can you imagine, you take a big ox, you tie a rope around it and you drop it on the floor, how much exertion, how much trouble it takes and how much effort it takes. Now when your cattle is laying on the floor, now to turn that big beast towards the Qibla, alhamdulillah, Allah has made it easy. Rasulullah has also made it easy for us, that whichever direction it faces, we slaughter that animal. Don't turn it towards the Qibla. Of course, if you are setting up a place in your yard or a place in your garage or whatever the case may be, then of course you make your Qurbani's preparation facing the Qibla. That's no problem. But if that, like I say, the ox is dropped. I remember once in a prison board, a slaughter also in one of the prisons where they have an abattoir, one clever Jack went there and he said, hey, all these cattle are haram. People asked why? He said, because it's not facing Qibla. The Department of Correctional Services cancelled the contract of the halal slaughter for the Muslims just because of that. A mustahab act, this person didn't know properly what he's talking about, and then we had to reinstate that after a few months to get the slaughter going at that prison again. So this is how we should learn the deen properly. It is mustahab to face the Qibla. Make sure that we keep that in mind. And then of course, we don't place the animal in the blood of the other animal, like you're going to see now. This is Maulana Ali Kopala from our office, from the SANHA office. He's one of our auditors. He is going to do the actual slaughter, but I'm going to, as we go on, I'm going to explain the procedure of slaughter. We'll start now, inshallah. First of all, I did mention the knives must be sharp. Another thing, in the kitabs of fiqh, they mention, الذبح بين الحلق واللبة. The slaughter should be done below the jawbone and above the breastbone. This is where the slaughter is done. The actual slaughter is done. الذبح بين الحلق واللبة, below the jawbone and above the breastbone. This is where the slaughter. Now when we are going to do the slaughter, all our niyas for Qurbani we should do already. That inni wajjahtu wajhiya lillazi inna salatikum nusuki, all those ayat and all. While we laying the animal, we should do this. Not when the animal is down already. No time must be wasted. When the animal is laid down, we should do our slaughter. Now the proof of the actual ayat of slaughter, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, the Quran says, فَكُلُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ عَلَيْهِ. Eat that on which Allah Ta'ala's name has been mentioned. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يُذْكَرْ اسْمُ عَلَيْهِ. Do not eat that on which Allah Ta'ala's name is not mentioned. Now in the Kitabs of Fiqh they mention two things, Amadan and Nisyanan. One is intentionally you leave out the tasbih, say not necessary to take Allah's name. That animal is not halal. But Nisyanan, forgetfully, a person forgot to read the tasmiyah, a human being, after all he forgets. The word insan, human being, the root of that is nasya, to forget. So he's prone to forget. If he forgets to read the tasmiyah, that carcass is halal. If he leaves out it intentionally, then it's not halal. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يُذْكَرْ اسْمُ عَلَيْهِ. And do not eat that on which Allah Ta'ala's name is not mentioned. So when Allah Ta'ala's name is mentioned, alhamdulillah, after all life belongs to Allah. That's why we read, Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. Verily my life and my sacrifice, and all the akhir al-ayah, all these things are for Allah. So this animal's life is in Allah's hands also. We are taking the life of the animal. We take the life of the animal in the name of Allah. So only thing we got to read now here is Bismillah Allahu Akbar, in the name of Allah, and Allah is the greatest. Right. Then I want to further explain, in the Kitabs of Fiqh they mention Al-Uruqul Lati Tukta fi Zakati Arba'atun. The vessels to be severed at the time of slaughter are four. Al-Hulqum, the windpipe, in front here, the grey one. Wal-Mari'id, the food pipe behind it, the meaty one. Wal-Wadajan, and the two blood vessels. The two blood vessels are severed. The four vessels, Arba'atun, the four vessels, windpipe, food pipe, and the two blood vessels. Now I want to explain something amazing about Shariat also. The hikmah, the wisdom of slaughtering, severing the blood vessels. In the kitab called Hidayah, they mention, يَتَمَيْزُ الدَّمُ النَّجِسِ مِنَ اللَّحْمِ الطَّاهِرِ. It separates the unclean blood from the pure carcass. So the carcass is now pure, the unclean blood is out of it, alhamdulillah. This is purity as far as the carcass is concerned. In Islam, we get purity of the body also, where we make ghusl and we make wudu. That can be explained next time, but that's purity of the body. Purity of the wealth is zakat. We take out annually we take out our zakat, we purify our money. Purity of the ground, zakatul ardi yubsa is in Hidayah also. The purity of the ground is its dryness. There's some impurity on the ground, the sun beats on it, whatever it gets dry, that becomes spark, it becomes clean. Purity of the soul is the dhikr of Allah. La ilaha illallah. We should try and read 100 times a day to purify our soul. So those are purities of the soul. So there are purities in so many cases in Islam. Alhamdulillah, shukr to Allah, we are Muslims.